All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down one of the biggest financial decisions you can make in your life, buying a new vehicle. And what seems like a pretty straightforward purchase, well, it turns out it can actually be a life-changing choice with, and I'm not kidding, million-dollar consequences.
I know, that sounds incredibly dramatic, right? But just stick with me here, because by the end of this, you are going to see the hidden, devastating math that makes this statement completely, shockingly true for a whole lot of people. So, let's set the scene.
Picture it. You're there. You've been driving that same old beat-up car for years. All your friends are getting new rides, and this brand new truck, man, it just smells like success. And notice what the salesman asks. He doesn't ask, "Can you afford this truck?" No. He asks, "What monthly payment works for you?" It's a clever, subtle little trick designed to get you laser-focused on that small number, not the giant total cost.
So you go for it. You agree to a monthly payment that seems doable. Now let's look at the math they do show you, but we're going to look at it in a way that shows what's really happening. This is, just the first layer of this whole financial onion. Okay, so check this out. The sticker price is already a hefty 63 grand, but then you start adding in all the extras, fees, taxes, that super profitable extended warranty, and boom, your total just hits $70,000. So after your down payment, you're financing 63 grand over 6 years, and that gets you to that big monthly payment, $1,076. So let's fast forward. After 6 years of making those payments, plus the 7 grand you put down, you will have paid a grand total of $84,500 for this truck. That's the total amount of cash that has left your life. So what do you actually have to show for it?
Well, after those 6 years, your beautiful truck is now worth about $31,000. And this is thanks to depreciation. It's the silent killer of your car's value. Think about that. You've paid almost $85,000 for an asset that's now worth less than half of what it cost new.
Yep, an investment is supposed to grow, right? This is the complete opposite. You've basically lost over $53,000 in just 6 years. It's gone. But believe it or not, the real loss, the million-dollar loss, that's actually much, much worse.
All right, now for the part that's going to blow your mind, the devastating math. We have to talk about the money that could have been. This is a concept called opportunity cost, and it is the absolute key to understanding the true price you paid for that truck.
To put it really simply, by choosing to pour all that money into the truck, you gave up the chance, the opportunity to do something else with it. And that something else is investing it and letting it grow. So let's see what that growth could have looked like.
Just look at this slide. This is the incredible, almost magical power of time and compound interest. If, instead of the fancy truck, you bought a cheaper car and invested the difference, let's say $55,000, look what happens. At a pretty conservative 7% return, that money doubles by the time you're 35. By age 65, it snowballs into over $820,000, all from one single decision you made at 25.
But here's the thing. Most people don't just do this once. They do it again and again every 7 years or so. So if one person keeps buying expensive new trucks and another person buys a modest used car and just invests the difference every month, the gap between them becomes a giant chasm. After a lifetime of making these choices, the truck buyer has a used vehicle, and the investor, they're a multimillionaire.
Now, this isn't just about you making a bad choice. It is so important to understand that you are playing a game on a field that is tilted against you. The whole system, the whole industry, is literally designed to push you into making these wealth-destroying decisions.
Just look at this. The dealership often makes less than half of its profit from the actual vehicle sale. Crazy, right? The real money for them is in the financing they set you up with, the extended warranties, and all those other little add-ons. Their main motivation isn't really to sell you a truck. It's to sell you a loan and a whole package of services.
And what are they really selling you? They're selling you an image, an identity. Research shows that 75% of truck owners tow something once a year, or even less. You know what the most common use is? Commuting to an office. You are paying a huge premium for capability you almost never use. It's basically a costume for a role you don't even play.
And the biggest irony of all, the people who can actually truly afford these amazing machines, they often don't buy them. Billionaires like Warren Buffett and Sam Walton were famous for how frugal they were with their cars. They got it. They understood that true wealth isn't what you drive, it's what you own that grows in value. They look boring, so they can be wealthy. Okay, So that's the problem. It's this massive systemic trap. But the good news, the really good news, is that there is an escape plan. So let's get into it. Here are 5 actionable, smarter moves you can make to avoid this million-dollar mistake. First, buy used. Let somebody else take that massive initial depreciation hit. Second, go basic. Skip the fancy, expensive trim packages. Third, right-size it. Do you really need a giant truck? Maybe a smaller, more efficient one does 90% of what you need. Fourth is what we call the nuclear option. Just buy a reliable used sedan and invest that huge difference. And finally, number 5, do the rental math. Own a cheap car and just rent a truck for the 2 or 3 times a year you actually need one. Every single one of these paths saves you a fortune.
And that brings us to the final verdict. Because really, this all boils down to one fundamental choice. And it's not really about the vehicle at all. It's about what you value more, looking rich now or actually being rich later.
You know, there's this scientific concept called hedonic adaptation. All it means is that the thrill you get from a new purchase is temporary. It fades. Within a few months, that shiny new truck is just your truck. But the payments, the lost investment growth, oh, those are permanent. You are trading a lifetime of financial freedom for a few weeks of excitement.
This right here, this is the whole story in one slide. The person who looks wealthy is drowning in payments with barely any savings. The person who looks, just average, they have no car payment and are quietly building a 7-figure net worth. One person is optimizing for appearance, the other is optimizing for reality.
Let me put this one last way for you. The opportunity cost from that one truck decision could generate about $1,667 a month in retirement income. Forever. So every single time you make that truck payment, you are literally trading away your future freedom, your future vacations, your peace of mind. So in the end, the choice isn't really between metal, leather, and tires. It's about your timeline. Are you playing the short game, trying to impress people today? Or are you playing the long game, of building real freedom for yourself tomorrow? Now that you've seen the hidden math, the choice is yours.